Yeah, these are fun. I like doing these.
Yeah, they've been great. They've been just kind of conversations. So, all
Okay,
right,
let me just.
you good?
Yep.
Okay. Hi, I'm Naomi Hall, and I'd like to welcome you, not introduce you, to my virtual summit on stress management for educators. My whole goal with this is to give you steps to reduce your stress so that you can find that quality time for yourself and for your family. Because when you are stressed, overwhelmed, anxious, you just don't have that time. You can't find that time and you can't make that time. So that's why I think this is so, so important. And so today I have with me Debbie Chamberlain, the founder of Mindfulness Matters. And she created this really to equip communities with tools to manage stress, to regulate emotions, to build resilience, all of these tools that we really need. And she uses her expertise in social emotional learning, health, and wellness to provide communities with opportunities for mindfulness. And she really encourages kindness and compassion for oneself and for others. And she helps families and schools transform their lives through mindfulness. So, welcome, Debbie.
Thank you. I am so excited to be here with you and part of your incredible summit. And thank you for sharing your light with the world and bringing all of these tools to families.
It's so important and so needed right now. So,
Absolutely.
can you tell us what are some tangible ways? Because I think sometimes mindfulness can be a little out here. Can you tell us some tangible ways that practicing mindfulness can really help with burnout and stress?
Yes, I would love to. And I would love to just share as well. I was an educator for 19 years. So the burnout and overwhelm of being a teacher is real, and also trying to navigate that as being a mom, a wife, a sister, a daughter, all of the roles that we play. So when I started to incorporate mindfulness in my own life, that is when I was able to really start. I incorporate spell mindfulness purposely MY, because it does start with your own personal practice. So
Mm,
some tangible things that I started to integrate for myself was starting to learn what mindfulness is.
mm,
Because like you said, it's a buzzword that's been going around. So a definition that I would teach, that I kind of embody for myself, but then also would teach kiddos in my classroom, was it's an awareness of the present moment with curiosity.
mm,
So taking that judgment out of whatever it is happening, and then getting curious about it and becoming aware. And that awareness happens with what we're feeling in both our mind and our body. So grounding ourselves in our body. So one tangible way that I use, whether 3 or 93, if I'm working with somebody, is how to ground yourself in with awareness. So I'll just start to notice on a scale. I call it my joy journey scale, 1 to 10 being 10. I'm feeling great. 1, not so much. I just start to notice, oh, you know what? I'm feeling a little bit lower on the scale, knowing that that's okay. All emotions are okay. We all feel all emotions, but that awareness piece is where we can make tangible. So I'll just start to notice, oh, I'm feeling, at a 4 or 5. Then I can start to notice where I'm feeling that in my body. Am I feeling it in my chest? Is my heart racing? Is my tummy not feeling well? Do I have a headache? Tingling in my, toes, my fingers? What is happening in my body? When I do that, I can start to use what I would call, when I work with the kids, we would talk about a mindfulness toolbox, because sometimes one tool would work for me and other times it wouldn't. So
mm,
perhaps I pull out my breathing tool.
mm.
Okay, I feel, what I'm feeling at a 5. I need to support myself, or whatever number I'm at, give myself compassion and grace. Feeling my heart's racing. Maybe I'm feeling a little bit sick to my stomach. Just noticing that, placing my hand there, taking a deep breath in, and then exhale. And then just start to notice the shift that happens in my system. And what's powerful is, even after a couple of breaths doing that, you're going to activate what's called your parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest, which will combat the cortisol that has released when you're feeling an overwhelm. And so that's the other part I love about it, is it's science. It's just how our body works. So yeah, that's probably one of the biggest tools, is breathing. That is a tangible one that you can do anywhere. You have your breath with you always.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. Like, that's become like my go-to when I'm stressed, is the breathing.
And I think understanding, I'd love to teach kids. We do lots of different fun, I taught elementary school, so I taught second grade for kindergarten and third grade as well, and preschool. But there's fun ways that you can teach kids how to breathe. So when we would have our mindful moments in our classroom, we might do rainbow breath, where we're stretching out our arms and breathing in like the arch of a rainbow and then exhaling. Or when I would work with some older kids, when I would support kids in middle school and high school, we might just like trace on our hand, like just an infinity sign or whatever sign, a triangle, and just breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. And again, this is a tool you have if you are about to take a test, if you are about to go into a meeting, if you are waiting in line and you're feeling anxious, just noticing, okay, where am I feeling it in my body? Okay, non-judgment, just get curious about it. And then what can I do to help support me? And if breath is a tool that you're going to use at that moment, then taking it. And anytime we have that longer exhale, that will help to kick in that parasympathetic a little faster. So breathing in for 2 and then out for 4. And it's really fun to do it when you're doing it with somebody else, because you can actually feel the mirror neurons happening, where it can bring calm to not only you, but the other people around you. So.
Yep. Oh, I love it. Yeah. That long exhale, that is like my key. That is like,
Right.
oh,
It just feels good.
it does.
Yes.
It does. You just instantly, you're like, it's like breathing out all of the yuck.
I love that. Yes. Exhaling it all out. It doesn't serve us anymore, getting it out of there. So yeah.
Yeah, that's
And I
fantastic.
think it's just really fun to teach kids the science behind it. So I'll teach them about the different parts of their brain. So the amygdala, the prefrontal cortex, the hippocampus. But and as an educator, this is something I wish they would have taught me. I mean, it was decades ago that I went to college, but that they would have taught me back then, that this is what's happening in your mind when you feel overwhelmed, and this is what you can do to support you. And so I'll have little kindergartners that will talk to me, oh, it's my amygdala, it's activated, or I need, I'm going to use my prefrontal cortex. And actually even just taking a moment to like massage it, like just, okay, I just need to remember something, because that's the part of the hippocampus is it remembers. So just giving it a massage, then again, it grounds you in your body. So I think that's probably my biggest message in incorporating mindfulness, and what I was hoping to embody with Mindfulness Matters, is being able to share these tools with ourselves, so that we can also give them to the little people in our life, really of all ages. It's for everybody. And it's simple, but it's a practice. So it's not just something, well, I breathe and it didn't work. So it's just like, I would never go to the gym and think, okay, I worked out once, I'm good. It's something that you have to go to be consistent about. And so that's why, when I incorporate mindful moments all throughout the day. I did it while I was teaching. I do it now. It's just part of, what my day is.
So then how do people do that? How do they incorporate these routines and incorporate mindfulness throughout their day?
Oh, I love it. Okay, this is probably my favorite one, and this is one I do all the time. So I have like a little prop. So I always have my water bottle. We absolutely need water all the time. Everybody's drinking their water, which is so healthy for us. We would never say, "Oh, I'm not going to," because we know we need to drink it. So I will take a drink of water, and then right after, I'll habit stack it. So drink my water, and then take a deep breath. And I'll teach the kids in the classroom, okay, let's take our water break. So we'll take our drink, and then we take. Because the more we do that, the more we build our neurons for being able to access that tool when we are in overwhelm. So if we wait until we're overwhelmed to, oh no, what was that I learned about breathing?
Yeah.
but if I've practiced throughout the day, then it's just part of, oh, that's a tool that's easier for me to access because it's part of what I do. So that's a great one. Another thing I love to do, one of the books that I wrote was called Busy Bee Learns to Be, because as an educator, all the things, busy was just part of, most of our culture here. So it's all about learning to be in the moment. So other things that busy bee learns is, going outside, taking a moment to just, like, even if it's 30 seconds, just notice the colors around you. Oh, there's, the yellow rose right there. There's, whatever it is that you're seeing around you, but taking that time, stopping and naming what it is you're seeing gets you out of that monkey mind and racing those racing thoughts. Because when I have to stop and notice, or looking at the clouds, one thing we'll do is look at, if there's clouds out, looking at the clouds and starting to notice, what does that cloud look like? Just getting yourself in the moment can be so powerful. Grounding yourself in your senses. So things you touch, things you smell, like, so I like to use like essential oils to help, because that can help ground. If I need uplifting, then I can use some citrus or lavender to help calm. I love to hold stones. Like I have one right now. I have this little ladybug because one of my books I wrote was called Lilly the Lovable Ladybug. So just, like having something that you're holding on to can help to ground you in the moment. And these are simple things that, like, tools that I just always have around me and am able to access at any time.
That's great. And like, so those aren't like anything that it like stand out to someone else, that you're using them as a calming tool.
Right, exactly. Yes, yeah, exactly. Nobody really knows that, and that's the great thing about it is it's kids can do this when they're, in school. Like I have a lot of teens that I'll work with that might be in overwhelm. So they have what they'll call, like, they call it different things, but like a little sensory bag where they'll have, maybe like a mint where they could put in their mouth, or they have, a stone, or they'll have like their positive affirmation, because that's another huge thing, because what we say to ourselves matters. So, saying the I am statements, having your, word of the year, your word that means a lot to you, that you can just constantly like kind of have in the back of your mind, like, is in this alignment with, like, my word for the year is joy. And the quote I love is, joy is happiness that doesn't depend on what happens. So when I'm working on, whatever, it helps to just align me with, okay, I want to feel that joy, but understanding to let go of outcomes. I love symbols. So sometimes, when I see a butterfly or when I see a sunflower, it helps to bring me back to the moment I see it, and it reminds me to breathe, so, that can be another simple tool, is just having that symbol or quote that helps to ground you in what's in alignment with your joy journey.
Oh, I love it. So and you have been in the classroom, you know what teachers are up against when it comes to stress and burnout. So can you give us some examples of how you've used this mindfulness personally to really help you with the stress and burnout?
I would love to. I actually retired in teaching during the pandemic was part of what my career was. And so that was the real test of how these mindfulness tools would help support me. I helped build the program. It's been almost 7 years, 6.5 years ago, at the school I was teaching at. So I'm so grateful that we had some things in place before we encountered this challenge. One of the things that I did was incorporate mindful moments throughout the day for the kids, but really it was as much for me because that mirror neuron, is powerful. So we would take moments. Sometimes they were asked for by the kids, where the kids would say, could we have a mindful moment? Which would be anchoring in breath, or we would say positive affirmations. We would give compliments to each other. A lot of times, like I talked about with the different breathing, they love to make up different breathing. So they would do like, here's heart breath, and they would teach the kids heart breath. But what I noticed is, as we were doing those things for the kids, I felt the shift in my system, which was super powerful. It was also great to be able to tell the kids, when I was feeling an overwhelm, so that they could watch me use a tool. So, I'm just kind of feeling like exhale to help support me. And so take a deep breath and exhale so that they understand that this isn't, this is when we take care of our mind, our body, and our heart, that's to be celebrated.
Mm.
And when they watch the adults in their life do it in an effective, peaceful, calm way, then they understand that, this is doable. I can do this as well. So, and then that supported me. Another thing that I do while I was teaching, and then now in my new role with writing these books, is and sharing them with the kids in the schools, is celebrating what went well. Like, and so we constantly have the to-do list, and okay, I can, I should have done this, or I would, and so I'll end my day with, even if it was a rough one, with actually writing down
Mhm.
the things that did go well, or maybe the things that I was able to accomplish that wasn't necessarily on my to-do list, but I call it my done list,
Mhm.
so that I can, maybe I didn't get, all of my papers graded that I wanted to grade. But I had a really effective conversation with one of my colleagues, and we were able to plan the next assembly, and we're so excited about it. So to try to let go of that, I've got to do this, that busy bee my mindset,
Yep.
you really go into really kind of what Lilly teaches, is about celebrating and loving yourself and giving yourself grace and being compassionate and celebrating what did, or perhaps there was a challenge, and that was what you're celebrating, is what went well, is the, whatever it is you learned through that challenge. So we do learn more when we
Mhm.
have a challenge than if everything just goes great all the time. So
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to get rid of all the stress, and we don't want to. But I love that you
Right.
mentioned having grace for yourself. I think as educators, we can be so hard on ourselves and take so many things very, very personally. And they're not without reason. But I think having that self grace is so, so important.
Oh, absolutely. It is so true. And again, going back to, teaching for as long as I did, these were not things that were shared or taught when I was, going to school to be a teacher. And, really up until I brought mindfulness to my own life, uh, and was trained and certified in mindfulness, and then also yoga. Mindful movement is a huge component to what I'll bring in as well. And then including health and wellness and understanding the science behind what's happening in your body when you're in. Well, I think that would be really beneficial to have a class where this is taught, so that the longevity of the career can be, because I mean, burnout is real. There's a lot of teachers that leave, you know, sooner than I think that they anticipated when they first started. And, it'd be great to be able to incorporate tools to help support them, so that, they can, and in turn, then they support the children that they're serving, which is, I mean, that's magical. Like, that's
That is.
incredible.
Yep. So
Yeah.
are there certain tools that are more effective that educators can use who are experiencing that extreme stress and burnout, who are like, because we have a lot that are on the verge of leaving, as you said, that maybe they may feel like that's their only option, but they're not ready. Like they don't want to.
Right. Right. Oh, absolutely. So one of them is thinking about the circle of control. And there's certain things that we can control in a system, any type of system, and there are things that we cannot control. So whenever I'm in, and I am very much an advocate for bringing wellness tools to educators and families and school systems, and in all different arenas that I possibly can. And I, when you do try to change specific systems, there's a lot of things that you cannot control.
Mhm.
That towards the end of teaching too, because there was so much out of our control, that it was like, what can I control today? And so I think I keep doing this because it's a circle with things I can control and all thinking about that. And then the things you can't control are all in the outer circle. So other people's thoughts, other people's feelings, other people's perspectives, I might be able to influence, but I cannot control that. What I can control is how I show up every day and doing what I can do for myself. I would also say, and my kids, when I was teaching, we would call it the let it go tool, and we would imagine, visualize a balloon and all of our things that we wanted to let go inside the balloon. And we would have this visualization where we just let it go and we watch it fly. So with those things that are out of our control, and I do that now. That visualization is so huge. If it's out of my control, I really attempt to try to let it go. And it takes practice. I even call my practice letting go tool, okay, this is going to be a struggle to let go of, this comment that was said, or how this email was, whatever it is I'm trying to let go of. But anchor in my breath, think about, is it out of my control? And if it is, I just practice letting go. And then the next time it's a little easier to practice letting go. And I think my biggest thing is realizing not everything deserves a response. We don't have to respond or react to every single thing. So really thinking about, okay, do I need to respond to this? And I use the word respond versus react, because react is the respond is the adding mindfulness, that powerful pause, so that you can formulate first of all, regulate your system, activate your prefrontal cortex, get yourself into calm, and then have a thoughtful response behind, whatever it is that you're trying to communicate, or however it is you're trying to deal with this situation. And sometimes it really does take, this is out of my control, or it's not mine to take care of. It's, somebody else's, responsibility or, job to be able to take care of that portion of it. So I think that's kind of understanding that part as well.
I think that's such an important one, that let it go tool. I wish I had learned that sooner, of letting go of things and not letting them just put me in this negative spiral downward of, I don't have control over this and I don't need to respond to this. I can let this go. And I can even see a situation this week where I can see how far I've grown in that from when I started my career. I think we can all think of those situations where you got that email that you just got shredded by a parent and it just destroyed you for the rest of the day. And I had a situation this week that wasn't a parent, it was a different situation, but definitely something that really tore into me. And I was like, you know what? It was for that self-grace and grace for other people.
Yeah.
You know what? Something else is going on there besides just me. And,
Oh,
I
yes.
can move on from that. But
Furious, not furious.
yeah.
And just get curious, where is that person coming from? And and I love what you said. Is this worthy of a response from me? And sometimes the answer is yes. And if it is, taking that powerful pause can help support you and the other person. When I'm in schools, and I teach this in schools, but then also wherever, and when I work with corporations, but the effectiveness of nonviolent communication. So being able to observe exactly what's happening without any type of judgment. So I noticed you were late for the meeting. Not, I can't believe you're, no, I noticed you were late for the meeting. I feel, so stating your feelings behind, I felt, concerned, discouraged, however it is you're feeling, because I really need us to get done with this project on time. And then making a clear request. Would you be willing to text me if you're going to be late, or would you be willing to, so just having, and again, I taught second grade, I taught second graders to go through that process, but then as adults, being able to effectively communicate in that, place of curiosity, and that place of compassion and grace for the other person, but then also for yourself, because, you matter. And so you also need to be able to, and if you can't let it go, being able to communicate in that way can be so powerful. And I think I used to have, when I do parent teacher conferences, I would have, his book is Say What You Mean. It's Orange Sofer, but he has these like sentence starters on when you're trying to speak to somebody. And I would kind of have a couple of those handy so that it would just remind me to, to be able to communicate in ways that are going to have it be effective and not put somebody on the defensive.
Mm.
And just imagine if every single person was able to communicate like that, like
Right.
that. And if they learned it when they were little. I think that's the part and why I brought mindfulness to, and why I write my books and share them now with these different messages, because it's fun for the kids to be able to access that message book. I feel like I had a master's in language and literacy, so I always loved bringing reading and writing into everything. So I love that my two passions are intertwined right now. But teaching these kids at a young age so that when they hit, their junior high, high school, college, young adulthood, my kids are, I have two of my kids are adults now. Wow, do I wish that they would have had some of these specific skills while they were in, high school.
Right. Oh, think middle school, high
Yeah.
school, like these tools.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
the
let's
views
teach
could
them
have
when
been.
they're little.
Yeah, yep. Oh, I wish I had had it. So you talk about teaching us within the classroom, and we're talking about adults. What's like if we're working with adults in a group? What's the benefit of learning mindfulness as in a group and practicing mindfulness in a group?
Oh, see, that is so powerful. And that's where I've said it a few times, where the mirror neurons comes in place. So,
Mm-hmm.
the best gift we can give to anybody is our regulated nervous system. And when we are regulating ourselves, the other people around us, it helps to support their nervous systems. So, and then building in community, I always think about when I'm trying to be accountable for something, like I need somebody to support me and help me in that. And we know that purpose and connection are huge. So when we can build a purposeful connection with other people, it's just so powerful. And when I was starting the mindfulness program at my school, we started with just me saying, "Hey, let's try. Have you heard of this word? Like, let's try this." And then I kind of did. We started some practices with a couple of teachers, and then by the end, we were holding assemblies. We had mindful mornings. We had after-school clubs. We created calm corners in each one of our classrooms. We had led mindful moments at our staff meetings. We had staff yoga. It was just became part of a climate and culture of our school, which then, like I said, transcends to like the kids that were in our school and the families, because we would lead family events. It was just super powerful, and it was just part of a community, and I just think that that's just the way it needs to be.
Yes, yeah. And I love you just demonstrated the power of someone pursuing their passion of like we can as individuals. 'Cause I'm like, I can't change the entire educational system, but I can
Right.
make a difference. And so you made a difference within your community, your school, your culture because you had this passion that you said, hey, can we try this? And it spread from there. So I think sometimes we think as educators, well, I'm just one person. I can't change the system, but you can change the world around you, your
Oh,
sphere.
that's so true. Oh, that is so true. And you never know what seeds are planted. You may never see the plant grow, but I promise that seed is planted somewhere. And we know as educators that happens all the time with the 100 kids that we see over our career. And so, yes, planting those seeds and showing up in the way that feels authentic to you. And for me, like I said, my passion is bringing wellness to kids. I was a child that struggled with anxiety and just tried to shove it down and oh no, everything's fine, you just smile and everything's great. And wow, would I have one of the quotes I have in one of my books is be the person you needed when you were younger. And I
Mhm.
just want to be that. I want to be that for as many kids and people as I can, because it's life is overwhelming, and so it's nice to be able to, as educators, I feel like so educators are that they are that person, for so many kids. So yeah, I decided I actually wrote the first book during the pandemic because we were trying to incorporate mindful moments and you know, trying to dive deep in our practices because it was overwhelmed. And that's when it started, and I just kept going because I just love bringing these simple practices to kids to help support them. But then also, these simple practices are great for people of all ages.
I love that. I love that it works for everybody, and that, like I said, just a small seed makes a difference. You made a difference within your district, and you're expanding now. And I'm trying to do the same thing of like, let's expand our influence. Let's bring these tools for stress management, for mindfulness, to as many people as we can. So as we kind of start to wrap up, I just have 3 fun questions for you.
Yeah,
What are you reading, watching, and listening to?
oh, this is amazing. Okay, so I love to read. I always have like a nonfiction book that I'm reading, and then just a fun book. The nonfiction book, The Body Keeps the Score. I
Oh,
don't know if
that
you've
is in
ever.
my shopping
Yeah.
cart.
Oh, read it for sure. It's I've already read, I've listened to it, and now I have to read it because now I have to take the notes in there. And then I just barely finished A Well-Lived Life. It is written by a lady that is 102 years old, and she is a wellness, but she has 6 key elements of how to live a well-lived life. So she actually lives in Arizona, where I'm from, and so that was amazing. So those are my 2 things I'm reading. Listening to, I love to listen to just, and I'm just going to say music. Like, I know sometimes I'll do a podcast, but right now I'm listening to and an audiobook. I do like to listen to audiobooks, but I'm into like my playlist, and I'm getting in my car and I'm just singing all of my favorite songs. Let Your Love Flow by the Bellamy Brothers is one of my favorites. And so I will just belt that out, and I love to sing that. And then watching, you know, I really haven't been watching very much lately. I can't even think of the last like series that I was watching. Um, and I haven't even really watched a good movie. So I want to go see The Little Mermaid. So I'm going to take my daughter to see that. But
Yeah.
so
I remember watching
that
it
will be
as a
fun.
child when it came out.
I know, right? I know. I'm very excited. So I'll be singing the songs to that. So that'll be fun.
I love that you brought up music as something that you love, because that is another one of those things that's so great for like mindfulness and self-regulation and all of that too, of like just that music
It's
that you love and connect to.
Yes. Oh, sound is huge. That's one of our 5 senses. So sound is so, yeah. And it also like just, I mean, you hear a good song and it instantly releases that serotonin, all those good feel good hormones. And yeah. So that's what I love to do. Thanks for asking those questions. That was fun.
I love learning that, like, I find out new podcasts to listen to. I find out books I need to read. So it's always fun to see. And it's fun to see how different people have, like, I'm like you, I have like a fiction, I have a nonfiction going. Do I have only 2 going right now? I often have like 3 going at a time. Like a personal development book, a business book, a fun book. So yeah, I love to have, and some people are like, how do you do it? I'm like, I don't know. I just read them at different times. Like they're
Yeah, I do too.
they're
I'm like, do I want to just kind of lose myself in a story? Then I do that. But if I really want to concentrate and take notes, and yeah, so yeah,
yeah,
it's fun.
love reading. So I love finding out new books and what people are watching. I always find new interesting things to watch and learn about different people. So it's fun. So I want to thank you so much for joining us and sharing with us about your books, about mindfulness. You gave us some great tips and some great tools to start with. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you again for this summit and everything that you're doing. So appreciate you.
Thank you so much. And thank you to our audience. I appreciate you taking the time to listen and to learn from Debbie. She's got some great tools. Check out her website, check out her books. I love part of what I love is that they're children's books about mindfulness, but we can learn from them. So,
Oh yeah, I've had adults come and tell me that they bought them for them.
yeah, yeah, I love that. And don't be afraid to use them with your high school students. You might have to kind of finesse using a children's book with your high school students, but I can attest to the fact that they enjoy mindfulness. And just like your kiddos, mine, 16, 17, 18 years old, would ask for mindful moments.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. My kids are 27 and 23 and then 15 and all three of them. Yeah. I mean, they're reluctant sometimes and I just practice myself and then watching me and then I'll notice that they're using some of the things. So it's yeah.
Yeah,
They're watching us and our kids are
for
watching
sure.
us. So it's important for us to, yeah, to show
Yeah,
up for them. So
yeah. So enjoy and check out Debbie's website, Mindfulness Matters, right? With a Y in the mindfulness for my mind.
yes,
So
right.
check out her information. She's got a lot there to support you. And I hope you all have a great day.
Thank you so much.